marketed to middle and elementary school students mostly, but I gotta tell you, as a 30-year-old, and if you guys thought I was younger than 30, I like you. I mean, I learned so much at these events, and these events are always either low cost or free. Last season, the highest ticket for these events was just $5. But this was one teaching artist who came in who did a one-woman show educating young people about Bessie Coleman. These are all the schools that are in Harlem that participated in our school day lives last year. And 356 of 507 students were from Harlem schools across these shows. I'm gonna skip this because I want to get to something that I think you all want to hear about, which is our upcoming Culture Forward program. Now, some of you may be asking, what is Culture Forward? Culture Forward is a subsidy program that we're going to launch this fall that will allow independent artists and cultural institutions to be able to rent one of our brand new Victoria theaters at the cost of only $500 per day. Now, having said that, I see some of y'all taking your phones out. Y'all got a little excited. Like, how much to perform at the Apollo? Don't get too excited. I'm just kidding. But that is the base cost. And depending on what your production may require or may need, other things will be charged a la carte. Also, with the Apollo stages at the Victoria Culture Forward, here are the details and the criteria. Your organization must be mission aligned with the Apollo. You cannot have, if you're a cultural institution, you cannot have an annual operating budget that exceeds $750,000 a year, because we want to make sure that this program is accessible to the people who actually need it. So that means if you can afford to go rent something on Theater Row, then this program is not for you. We want to expand access through this program. Also, you must be in New York City. So that means if your organization is in Jersey or your organization is in Connecticut, this is not the program for you. We want to make sure that we are providing this space for people who are in Harlem, in New York City, not outside of our catchment area. We also, this past spring, excuse me, did a beta test where we offered this reduced rental rate to several organizations around New York City as somewhat of a beta test, because when we do the actual rollout, we want to make sure we work out all the kinks, we work out all the issues, we actually figure out what it is that we need to do to best serve the organizations when we do the official rollout this fall. So yes, please stay on the lookout for Culture Forward, and I have business cards too. If you want to email me to get on the list to be amongst the first people to receive the applications, then we can hook that up for you before we leave today. And before I end, I just want to skip to some last things about community relations. Now, this is where I come in, because I have to justify my job, because I don't want to be fired anytime soon. From January to June, I spent about 52.50 hours representing the Apollo at community events throughout Harlem. When I first got hired, one of the things that was said to me was, some people kind of look at the Apollo as if it's like a city on the hill, and we want to make sure that we're in the community. And when I talk to people who were born and raised in Harlem, and I hear these stories about how people used to sneak in to see James Brown, and I hear these stories about how people used to hide in the bathrooms when shows were over so they could be in the next show. Those stories are really special, and so we're working hard to make sure that we reroute and replant ourselves as best in the community that made us who we are. And one of the things I always say at the Apollo is, Harlem is why we are who we are today. Because if we had been in the Bronx, if we had been in Brooklyn, if we had been anywhere else outside of Harlem, there's no guarantee we would be the world famous Apollo Theater that we are today. So we cannot, there we go. So we can't take this community and the people in this community for granted. Also, I do want to say that we're launching this in about 3 weeks. We are starting a new page on our community, because a lot of people come to our theaters and they face a lot of challenges, and we're performing arts center and we can't necessarily respond to all the challenges that people face. So we decided to use our website, which receives about 87,000 monthly visitors, and we collected the websites of organizations in Harlem, all around New York City, that provide either free or low-cost services to the community. And we're going to